Hi, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome back to Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts, and today, like every single weekday, we're coming at you live from our studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have an amazing show for you today. We're talking Donald Trump, mugshots released. What does that have to do with crypto? Maybe a lot, maybe nothing. You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. We're also talking about Coinbase delisting some tokens. The markets are dumping. Jerome Powell has spoken, and new tax guidelines for our industry. What does this all mean? We're going to discuss that and much, much more. But first, here is your first co-host, Rob.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, well, you went for a surprise today.
You are?
A lot of Trump and a lot of other stuff, sometimes crypto.
Yeah.
But if you're not familiar with the format here, we take old, boring, and stale information, repackage it up in a fun and sexy way. Kind of like going from David to me.
Now, we do have, if you watch our show on the regular, you know, Friday's a very special show because it is the only day of the week where we have 3 hosts, and that is with our friend, Forrest Rocco. Let's patch him. Forrest, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, how do you feel about Robin copying your hairstyle? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. That's a good
It's a
hairstyle.
sign of respect. He's finally growing up. So, Robin, round of applause for Robin.
You also see the evolution of shaving here as well. You know, clean, 5 o'clock shadow, but still handsome. And then you got, well, whatever the hell you got going on there, David. So
Thanks for that.
you're welcome.
Forrest, thank you so much for joining us, man. We're excited to have you guys. We have so much to go over. I literally have 70 tabs open, and I don't know where to start, but we're starting here. We're starting with some funnies. Rocco? Well, here we go. Damn it, I was going to pause it before that.
Is that intentional? What do you think?
Yes, that was... I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Was that intentional? I say no.
Well, can you play it full speed?
Let's play
I don't even know you're over
That
here.
was full speed.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you did that. All right, there you go.
Actually, not a bad move. Anyways, moving on to... guys, don't be dumb, okay? Don't be dumb. It's a new trend. You light drink on fire and then you drink it and okay, now you would stop, right? You done? Nope. Let me go back for more. And well, you mess on fire and now your face on fire.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry, bro.
Man.
It's like that's just dumb, right?
You
Like
don't.
something Robin
You
would do.
don't drink flaming drinks, bro. We live in a. If it was say 1999 and you just hadn't had full social media experience, but at this
You're
point,
taking it back to the 90s, huh?
you know what I'm saying is that somebody at a party could be like, yeah, man, this is like normal and no, it's going to go out by the time you drink it. But we've seen enough of these videos to know that like you light a drink on fire.
The evidence is there.
We've seen enough GIFs and we've seen enough videos on X and formerly Facebook or, Facebook, formal
It is formerly
Dominant.
because no one's on Facebook anymore.
dominant platform, which is not dominant anymore. But anyways, so the whole evolution of social media, we've been seeing this. And so if you haven't figured out by now, you're going to burn your face off. Shame on you.
What's the dumbest thing you've done drunk?
Drunk?
Yeah.
I had a really big party, and then I got 9 contributing to the delinquency of minor charges from.
Jesus Christ.
And then I roll over to the courthouse, with a polo shirt and no lawyer. And the judge is like, "You do understand this is a felony, right?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, 3 misdemeanors, year in prison minimum. I'm like, I'm going to need to come back with a lawyer.
Forrest, any crazy drunk
How old
stories
were
with
you?
you?
No, I mean, the dumbest thing I've done while drinking is continuing to drink. Right? Just
fair enough.
like,
My dumbest story
Pretty
was
standard.
I went up to North Dakota. I was doing a campus tour before I committed to go play football up there at Dickinson State University. And I got hammered and we were at the lake. And I decided to show everyone how fast I can get off the line from a 3-point stance. And I literally ran into a Jeep truck and broke the person's headlight. And then I was flying back to Vegas the next day. They were not happy. And so I had to buy and ship out a new headlight for their Jeep. It cost like $300. At the time, I didn't have a lot of money, so that was bad. All right, here we go. Make sure we got volume on this one, Rocco. This one needs some volume.
Okay, go for it.
Actually, I like it. Hope my baby is comfortable. And well, the baby. Here, let me show you my house. And here's the first bedroom. And all right, look. That's women's bodies are amazing because they can like literally contort and stretch and grow like a literal human being. But I mean, if your belly's that big,
Jesus.
You gotta have twins or triplets, right?
Is this Ronaldo's wife?
This is not Ronaldo's wife. I don't think it's Ronaldo's wife. All right.
No, I'm asking. I don't know.
Next, we're moving from babies to animals. Well, all right, got a lot of them. All right, have you guys ever seen a turtle slapping competition?
Is that how they fight?
Yeah.
This is how they kiss.
That's not how they kiss, Rocco. This is not Italy. This is America. These are American turtles, not Italian turtles, okay? These are not the Ninja Turtles either, all right? Well, here we go. I've never seen a turtle use their hands. This is interesting. You know,
Do you think like if you were to
That's a lot of speed for an animal that's very slow.
If you were to throw dialogue on this, like what do you think is like? I told you to take the trash out, and you just been hiding in your shell all morning.
Well, we know what Robin and his wife complained about this morning. Guys, we're going to keep this thing moving. We have a visual representation of us crypto educators trying to tell newbies, guys, just please. And the egg represents Bitcoin. And, well, you can see. Listen, just hold on to this, okay? Just hold on to it, all right? Don't lose it. Just hodl. Okay, just huddle. Move it to the cold storage. Okay, and then what it doesn't show is the other chicken pushing the egg out. Has your guys' strategy for investing in Bitcoin changed at all? Whether it's halvings coming closer, whether it's we haven't heard anything from Grayscale, or are you still staying the course, or have you made any adjustments in your strategy of acquiring and holding Bitcoin?
For me, I still have my structured DCA. You know, the thing that is always echoed in the crypto space is this hodl mentality. And I would just say that I feel like that narrative was really just hyped up and circulated by venture capital, whales, and people and smart money. Because they know, hey, if we can get this chant going on, this slogan, hodl, don't sell no matter how low the price goes, then can get in early, and as this pumps, we can really push this hodl craze, and then all of the new dumb money comes in as exit liquidity, and we're trying not to scare them when the price drops, so that way we can properly exit our position, take profits, and dump on the markets, and then at the very end, when all hope is lost, go ahead and sell, people.
Okay.
Is that not what hodl is?
I mean, look, I kind of said my piece this week. I don't ever plan on taking any profits on my Bitcoin. Bitcoin is something I plan on holding for the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean like the altcoins and stuff. Those I'm more likely to trade.
Would you advise somebody buying stocks? Here's a good example. Would you advise somebody buying stocks, like whatever you do, buy the stock and never sell it? That'd be kind of dumb, right?
But a stock is not a hedge against.
No, but I'm just giving you an insight into an investment strategy, right? And so if you enter into an investment strategy,
but I don't see.
But now here's the thing: like if you were to say, hey, when you put into your 401k, don't cash it out early. That's dumb, right? That makes sense, right? And so if you were to take that analogy, if you were to separate your investment strategy into two different categories. Category A, you treat it like a 401k. You treat it like a retirement account, something you're not going to touch, and you plan on exiting later in life. Do that with Bitcoin, right? DCA in, hold that thing. Hold it. Yes, sure, hodl it, whatever you want to call it. But if you're buying anything outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe one or two altcoins, You need to have a completely different strategy. And you need to say, hey, is this way overbought or way oversold? Do I need to exit my position? Do I need to de-risk? Do I need to move from one asset back to Bitcoin or from Bitcoin back to another asset? That should be how you approach this. If you just have this stupid ass blind hodl, everything that I have purchased in my crypto portfolio, I must never sell.
Yeah.
You are dumb.
What about you, Forrest? Same question. Any change in your strategy? Are you buying or DCAing into Bitcoin? I know you're one of the outspoken people who doesn't think Bitcoin is the perfect money or the iteration of Bitcoin. What it stands for, what it's meant to be, isn't the way we're going to see it in the next 10 years. What's your strategy and has it changed?
Yeah, so I personally don't own any Bitcoin, but I still own Ethereum. Like I think the two are pretty interchangeable in terms of their price charts and performance. Like you get like these people that are into like huge debates on whether or not you should hold Bitcoin or Ethereum or both or whatever. And at the end of the day, like they're two extraordinarily correlated assets in the short term, right? So it really, in my opinion, like if you're looking at the charts, they're very correlated. Yeah, you can trade the Bitcoin ETH chart or the ETH Bitcoin chart, rather. It's more about what do you think is going to perform better over a longer period of time if you do plan to hold for a long period of time. I am much less in the hodl camp. I agree with Rob. I think it's something that's very, very dangerous. Just look at the charts. Like look at the chart of any altcoin. Look at the chart of Bitcoin. 78, 80% drawdowns. Why would you purposefully hold through 70 to 80% drawdowns? I don't personally understand that logic. For me, am I changing my strategy for September? And I will just share my screen briefly here because I do think it's really worthwhile and potentially helpful. Is September for the S&P 500 historically the worst month by a long shot. So we're moving.
Why
into
do you think
September
that is,
here,
Forrest?
and I'm not saying that we're going to see a bad September. But then if you also go to the Bitcoin monthly returns, September historically the worst month for Bitcoin as well. And even though I don't personally hold Bitcoin, it's obviously all of crypto is correlated to Bitcoin, and oftentimes Bitcoin is correlated to the S&P 500. So I've taken quite a bit of risk off here in the last few days and weeks, especially as Bitcoin broke that uptrend level that we were looking at. So just stablecoin yield farming quite a bit here. Introducing a little bit of smart contract risk, but trying to reduce my overall exposure going into what is historically a bad month. Doesn't mean that we'll get it. It could be an outlier. We could have a great September. We could get a grayscale win. We could get some positive news. But I'm just being very careful.
Forrest, what's your thesis on why September is a typically red month, not just for the S&P, but for Bitcoin and crypto as well?
I'm not 100% sure, to be quite honest. I've heard things. There's certain holidays that fall into September. There's some large.
It's also the beginning of Q3. I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, beginning of Q3. I've heard like a lot of investment bankers take time off. That it could just be cyclical too when it comes to like shopping and spending habits going into the holidays. Probably but I genuinely don't know. I'm speculating.
Sorry, I meant
sure
end
exactly
of Q3.
why
My apologies. I meant it's the end of Q3. And so we are going into the holiday season. We know spending on leisure and stuff like that tends to come down because people are now traveling to be with family, Thanksgiving, Christmas presents. Before we get into farther, I do want to give a shout out to our first channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you own a business and you want to know how they can help you maximize your IT networking and cybersecurity, and you don't have the time or the expertise and you just want to focus on making money for your business, visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Now, one man literally broke the internet. Broke Twix. I love Twix.
He broke the left and right side.
Left and right side. Cut that thing in half, baby. That is none other than Donald J. Trump, former president of the United States of America. He has officially made his return to Twitter with this picture of his mugshot. August 24th, 2023, election interference. Never surrender, DonaldJTrump.com. Now, we were talking about this before we went live. His interview with Tucker Carlson is sitting at 250 million views. Guys, that is about 80 million shy of every single baby, adult, toddler, grandma, grandpa in the United States has watched that interview with Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson on Twitter. And so, every time something like this happens, and we're not a political show, so we're not going to sit here and talk about politics and who we think we're going to win, but people tend to show more support as stuff like this happens, as his ratings go up. And in honor of this mugshot, I found some of the best memes of this mugshot. You know what's going to happen, guys, right? Mugshot, you come out, there's going to be memes. Well, here's meme number one. I want you to focus on the big left one here. It says Joe Biden smelling drum. And then on the bottom, Donald Trump gets made fun of for having very small hands. And, well, here you go. This one, not so funny. And we have this one. A food representation of Donald Trump. And this oddly looks very, very similar. Then we have this, the cashier watching me put no tip. You see these memes, right? It's like they flip over the iPad. It's just going to ask you some questions. And then I was at this little cafe by my house. They sell these bomb spam musubi. So I went there. She's like, okay, I'm just going to flip this over. It's just going to ask you some questions. Then they immediately turn around. And I'm like, oh, God, okay. How much tip you want? So there's that. And here's another one. He thought school was for one day. He mad as hell. And so this is Trump's face photoshopped on a child going to school. Are you guys surprised? There's a lot of talk about how he didn't smile. And you think he purposely...
Why would you smile in a mugshot?
Maybe some people thought like he smiled saying, hey, you can't faze me. It doesn't matter what you try to do to me. I'm still going to win. Big smile on my face. But, he decided to go with the mean mug. Any thoughts on this, gentleman?
I don't know. I'm not analyze his face and which one would be smarter to do to get more votes.
This is our show today, by the way. So, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he got the desired effect. Yeah, I think honestly he came out on top here. Immediately posting this to Twitter, going viral, getting over 150 million views. Of course, with the campaign donation link that he probably made so much money off of for his campaign. The guy controls the narrative. The guy goes viral. He stays in the limelight, and he's getting more views than Biden right now, just in terms of, how viral he's going. And at the end of the day, the presidential election is somewhat of a popularity contest. It comes down to popularity and the ability to stay in the media and in the narrative in a positive or negative light. There's few better at that than Trump.
Less than 24 hours. That post that Donald Trump put out has close to 400,000 retweets, 1.3 million likes, and 163.6 million views. And Randy, the views I mentioned are global. I was just using the U.S. as a benchmark to kind of show and reiterate how big of a number that is. All right. Let's move on to some crypto news. So I saw this tweet. And I guess nothing surprises me nowadays. Prime Trust had invested. Now, if you guys remember, Prime Trust is the custodial company, right? The institutional custodian that was federally regulated. They lost the keys, didn't tell anyone, tried to use customer funds to gamble on low liquidity tokens like Rally token to try to get the money back. And apparently part of that strategy involved putting $6 million of customer funds and $2 million of their own treasury in UST and Anchor Protocol. And this is a regulated custodian. It would qualify as a qualified custodian, which is what Gary Gensler has been pushing. I think this just goes to show, guys, that no matter what the regulatory environment, what rules are in place, people will do what people do. A bad person, if they want to rob a bank and they don't have means to certain whatever they need to do it, they will find a way to do it, right? Same thing. If someone has a gall to steal customer funds, whether they're fully regulated or not, they're going to find a way to do it. We see it happening in traditional markets. In the stock market, we see politicians doing it. It does not matter. Robin, what are your thoughts on this? Does it surprise you?
Sadly to say, it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, it is eye-opening, right? You have trusted custodians that institutions use, and they're supposed to be the go-to or the standard or the benchmark for custodial services. They make a name for themselves. They have some of the accreditations that you would get from the government. At least they went through the process of doing that. So with that said, I wouldn't trust anybody, even as clean cut as it is on the front end. You never know what's going on the back end. You only see what they want you to see. And I'd say that a lot of companies through the test of time have gained your trust. Not a dig here on their name, but only time can tell, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're a new company, if you look FTX as an example, Celsius, like all these new companies came out and they were supposedly the gold standard in no time, right? It was only a few short years. I never thought they were the gold standard. Like, they've only been out for a couple years. They've only been operating. They've only been doing this for a few years. I'm not saying that with time you just blindly have 100% faith. However, you should question everything if something is new. If they've only been around for minus 3 years, like, don't just assume that everything that you read about them is how it operates.
I think for me, everything you do in life carries a risk, right? Leaving your money in your bank account, that's a risk. Leaving money under your mattress, that's a risk. Driving to work is a risk. Even custodying your own crypto, that also comes with risks. So everything in life to me is a risk. So it's all about how to spread that risk out and try to hedge risk in different areas, right? Well, I have a little bit of my crypto on Coinbase. I have a majority of it on hardware wallets. But guess what? It's not all just on one wallet. It's on multiple wallets. And guess what? My seed phrase is not just stored in one place. It's stored in multiple places because I understand the risk of anything can happen at any time. Whether that's leaving it with a company like Coinbase or putting it on a self-custody or even driving to work, everything has risk. So it's all about how do you deleverage some of that risk and how do you spread it out. That's my 2 cents. Forrest, what are your thoughts on this whole Prime Trust thing and the UST? And what are your thoughts on custodianship moving forward?
And Terra Luna it all just goes back to UST and Terra Luna. That was the first domino that just broke everything. Whether you're talking about Celsius or FTX or Voyager, everybody that went out of business had exposure to Terra Luna or somebody who did. I think it doesn't get the amount of attention anymore. Everyone talks about FTX, but a lot of FTX was tied to Terra Luna in the collapse of UST. I think it's going to go down as like one of the biggest Ponzi blowups of all time. Did you also say that they invested in Rally token, which that's just insane because Rally was a low liquidity, low float, very high inflation token that like anybody could have known. Like you couldn't trade perps on it, like because everyone would have just gone short and printed a bunch of money because it was just the way it was designed. It was designed to go down. So that's like completely idiotic for them they just didn't read the tokenomics or something. That's wild. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, custody solutions are going to be difficult. I think you'll see more and more kind of professional solutions. Like you'll see like the industry, you'll see industry standards emerge. I think Coinbase is probably one of them. Obviously, Gemini got caught up with I'm blanking on the Barry Silbert's thing. I'm blanking on the company that they had exposure to in their Earn program. But I've heard good things about Gemini's custody. Genesis, exactly. Genesis and BCG. I've heard good things about Gemini's custody solutions and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I think you're just going to see a couple of industry standards come in, and it looks like Coinbase is probably one of the bigger leaders in that area right now.
And you know, the great thing, guys, about Coinbase is them being a publicly traded company, they have to file reports every quarter, right? They have to show where the revenues are coming from, how they're making their money. And when you look at their revenue, they make their two biggest places, vast majority where they make their money is trading fees and staking. And that is what it should be for an exchange, is trading fees. So when you see them cut trading fees to zero during a bear market, to me, that's an immediate red flag. We saw a few exchanges do that. I'm not going to name any, but those are just things that I've come to look out for. Also, big shout out to Flat Smack. Said not holding Bitcoin is the biggest risk. I tend to agree with you, my friend. Let's move on.
Real quick, I do want to give a little love to the chat here. We have 70 likes. Let's get this thing over 100, please, and thank you. Also, I spotted Red Elephant, Jay Waffleman, BC Alf, LD Zuno, Neil Botto, Chronic, Neil Botto, Chronic, Hoosier, McCrypto, and then also Ultima Maya gave $1.99 super chat saying "Hola to Forest," and all of you new ones here. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If you're new here, say hello, and also hit the like button. If you hit the like button, verify. Let's get a consensus. Put an hola in the chat. Let's get an hola train going. I'll put the first hola in the chat.
There. Big words.
Consensus?
Now, someone else said hola today, and that person was Jerome Powell, saying hola at Jackson Hole. Feds, Powell at Jackson Hole, pretty much prepared to raise rates further if appropriate. This is from CoinDesk. Restrictive monetary policy will continue to be needed until inflation is sustainably slowing, said Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. The central bank, said Jerome Powell, is ready to raise rates further if appropriate, though will proceed carefully. Okay. Well, let's take a look at this. This is from the Kobayashi letter. The odds of a 25 basis point rate hike in September more than doubled to 21.5% after Jerome Powell's speech. Odds of an additional rate hike this year just hit a 2-month high of 52%. Rate cuts are now not expected to begin until June of next year. The Fed wants 2% inflation and will do whatever it takes to get there. The roller coaster ride continues, and that is the one thing, as I listened to the entirety of his 15-minute speech, is 2% is still their target. I just don't think that's possible. That's just my personal opinion. I hope I'm wrong. But here is a chart of what they expect. So we are currently at 525. Are we at 525 to 550? Yes, we're at 525 to 550. So 78% of people think we're going to get a pause in September, and 43% think we're going to get a hike in November. And the CME shows here 80.5% still believe, according to the CME, which is the Fed Watch tool, that we're going to get a pause or do nothing in September. And then this is up to 19.5% now. It was closer to about 5% just a few days ago, a week ago. And so, gentlemen, what are
I want to show just one thing, just to piggyback what's going on with these interest rates. What does that mean for you? Well, you have 30-year fixed mortgage at 7.67%. And hey, want to refinance to that juicy 8%? Well, there it is.
That's crazy. Bro.
That is nuts. And if you were to raise, let's just hypothetically say we raise another 0.5%, right? That would be 2 more 0.25 base rate hikes. I think that is possible. I don't know how likely it is, but I think it is on the table that we could get 2 more rate hikes within, say, the next year. Sure, why not, right? Especially if inflation starts to ramp back up. We showed some charts yesterday how inflation historically is currently following the same path that it was back in the 70s, where we had a double top on inflation. We're down to about 3%, teetering on 4%. We could all of a sudden have a reversal on the inflation here, or at least the CPI in the United States, which would give ammunition to the Fed to raise rates even more. In Jackson Hole, he said he's prepared to do so. If you raise another 0.5%, as an example, you could see 30-year fixed rate mortgages at 9%, which at 9%, Jesus, that is pretty much 10%, right? I mean, if you're I'm just saying you're pretty damn close. At 9, you round up 9 to 10%. Just conceptualize the fact that if you're paying 10% on a 30-year mortgage, at at
That's-
three
it's-
at
that's
three and a
ridiculous.
half, you're paying twice as much for your home after 23 years. But if you put down a large enough down payment, then
Here's the scary part, though, is we're now seeing 40-year mortgages. We're also now seeing programs that allow you to only put 1% down.
it's you might as well just start saving for a house as soon as you get your first job, right? I mean, at
saving
least
for-
to get a down payment, right? To get the money needed to close on a home, I think you're probably, I mean, no joke, you got to at least have 15 grand, right? I mean, at this point,
That would be the minimum.
with the interest rates at where they're at, I don't see a situation where you're going to pay less than $15,000. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Rocco, are you?
Hey guys.
I don't know. You got it on Forrest, and I was curious. Are you doing a strike against Sin City Crypto? What's going on here? Like, it was purposely taken away from Robin, the camera. I think he was trying to tell you to shut up, Robin. Just curious.
I think so.
It was funny because I was looking at the other monitor. I was looking for it. I said, it's smiling. I thought it probably was looking at the chat.
Oh, gotcha.
And then it was live.
I was
Sorry,
like,
my
there's
bad.
probably a reason he's doing this. I just don't know what that reason is.
My bad.
Forrest, what are your thoughts if we do see more rate hikes? With everything going on the macro side, what's your thesis on Bitcoin? You know, I was on Frankie Candle's channel, and he asked me, what do you think is the rest of the year looks like for Bitcoin? I guess I'll ask you the same thing. And if you can kind of, in your thesis and what you think, kind of include maybe these rate hikes, if we see one or two more, or, you know, if inflation starts ticking back up again, what do you foresee happening with Bitcoin and crypto this year?
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do with rate hikes. I genuinely don't. My guess would be that they pause for a very long time until inflation comes down. Now, the part of inflation that I think is going to be really tricky to see come down is real estate and housing, but particularly real estate and new homes. And the reason being is because so many, like, this takes so long to play out. You've got all these people that locked in, that bought homes in the last 5 years, or really in the last 2 to 3 years, but at ridiculously low rate. Not ridiculously low rates, but the rates that we became accustomed to, anywhere between like 2 and 4%. So if you bought a home recently in the last couple of years between 2 and 4%, or you refinanced to 2 to 4%, and now rates are 8%, you cannot move, or it makes no sense financially to move unless you've just had like a huge pay bump. But as long as you're content in your house, there's no reason to move. So you have like way lower supply of homes because you have way fewer sellers in this market. Why would I sell my home that I bought for at a 3% interest rate and then go and try to buy a new one and get locked into an 8% interest rate? That makes no sense. So you still have, demand does come down as interest rates go up, but you've got no supply, right? So you got no people willing to move. So it's going to take for rates to start coming back down and people being more willing to move for, prices to start coming down. But what happens is you've also got a whole cohort of people that are like, well, rates are at 8% right now. I can't afford it. Well, what happens when they start cutting rates and they cut rates down to 5%? Yeah, that'll unlock some of the supply of houses and people will be more willing to sell. But then you've got a ton of people that have been waiting for the last 2 years for rates to come down, and now they're hungry and they've got demand and they've been saving up and they've got the demand spikes because they want to buy a home. So I think the real estate market is potentially going to be volatile, and I'm not so certain that it's going to crash as hard as what people think. And because of that, I think the inflation could be stickier in the housing market. So I know that was kind of a side tangent, but as far as how this affects Bitcoin, so tough to tell. I do think, if rate cuts do begin in that June of 2024 timeframe that person on Twitter outlined, I mean, that kind of does line up with a Bitcoin, halving cycle coming in April, and then potential spot Bitcoin ETF coming in somewhere January, February, March of 2024. So things do seem like they may be lining up for 2024 to be a big, and potentially into 2025 to be 2 big bull market years. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, though.
If what you're saying does come true, right, and the interest rate goes down to, let's say, 4 or 5%, people that got in at 6, 7%, they're going to look to refi. People that have been waiting on the sidelines, they're going to jump in. It's going to push the price of houses up, and guess what? The people that got in at 8%, they can now refinance, take out cash out of their home, out of their equity, and could some of that cash potentially find its way into Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem? Potentially, that's kind of my thesis if that thing does play out. Just a couple of real quick things on macro, then we're going to move on and take a look at the markets. So I want to share a couple of tweets here. The Kobayashi letter again. Interest rate on U.S. federal debt is now at a record 19.5% of government revenue. 20% of the U.S. government's revenue goes to paying interest on our debt, guys. That is why I say time and time again, there's only so much they can hike. There's only so far they can go. We're not going to see the Paul Volcker era where we're at 18 to 20%, or even 15%, or even double digits. It's not possible. It's going to literally break the economy. This is well above the 16.9% seen in 2011 debt ceiling crisis. As interest rates soar, interest is now one of the U.S. government's biggest expenses. At current rates, within 10 years, interest expense will account for 25% of U.S. revenue. If borrowing continued at its current pace, the U.S. debt will climb, listen to this, from $32 to $140 trillion over the next 27 years. If borrowing continues at this pace, we'll be at $140 trillion by 2050. That to me is absolutely nuts. I do want to share this also from Joe Consorti on Twitter. Total emergency loans from the Fed's facility. This is what the Fed did after Silicon Valley Bank went under. They said, hey, sell your treasuries to us. You don't have to take an L on it. We'll front you the money, and then when they come to maturity, we'll sell it and take the money back. Well, this thing is at an all-time high. And also, finally, this is from JP Morgan Chase. They said that the recent sell-off in Bitcoin and crypto is likely near an end. We'll discuss that as we get into the charts. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the crypto markets. And today's crypto market segment is brought to you by iTrust.Capital. If you want to hodl your Bitcoin, your crypto, your Ethereum, all your tokens, they've added some new ones, Hedera, Quant, Flow. If you want to enjoy those tax-free in retirement, you're going to want to set up a Roth IRA account. And the one company to do that with, in our opinion, is iTrust.Capital. If you use the link in our description, you will receive a free $100 once you fund your account. So, Robin, let's take a look at what the crypto market's doing. I know Bitcoin's under 26K.
Barely. It's at 25,980. So just flirting with the $26,000 mark. And with the, let's see here, let me scroll up. With the recent price movement, you can see that we're just still back into this $26,000 range. We did have a small little breakout here on the week, but when you take a look at it the month, really not too much volatility here on Bitcoin. We did move from 29 down to 26, and we've been here for exactly a week now. And a couple of altcoins that are moving today. You do have Zcash up, not too much in the green here as far as the altcoins, just a handful of projects in the up at 2%, 1%. And then with some of the biggest drawdowns, you do have Pepe down 15%. I know we're going to kind of talk about that here in a little bit. Lido as well down 6%, and KuCoin token down 5%. But there are a handful of tokens all down 4% and more on the week. So
let's talk about Pepe since you brought that up, Robin.
Yeah.
So Pepe, big drawdown, right? We talked about this prior to coming on live. We talked about it with Forrest. I guess the devs are dumping, and I'll let Forrest talk on that. But what I want to discuss is rumors that the multi-sig wallet went from 5 to 2. And so now instead of unlocking funds, you need 5 signatures. Now that number is down to 2. Forrest, Pepe, what are you hearing? What's going on? We're hearing they're dumping the markets, not over the counter, but they're dumping them essentially via the order books. What are you hearing? Are you and what's your outlook on Pepe in the short term?
Yes. So my understanding is that a bunch of the Pepe devs just sent their Pepe allocations or Pepe that they had access to exchanges, to various centralized exchanges. Now there's Two reasons they could do that. One is to sell, and judging by the chart, it looks like they sold. The other reason is they could be market making, right? Adding to liquidity there, but that does not seem to be the case whatsoever with that chart right there. The other theory that's floating around, which is obviously just completely unconfirmed, but the Pepe Twitter stopped tweeting on August 11th, which coincidentally was also the exact same day that Sam Bankman-Fried got put in prison or put behind bars or whatever. Got
Hold up.
locked
Are you trying to say Sam Bankman-Fried is the creator of Pepe? Is that what you're saying?
I'm most definitely not saying that, but it is a conspiracy theory that I did come across. I don't know if it's true or not, obviously, but it's an interesting theory.
What are your thoughts on that, Robin? Do you subscribe to that idea? What percentage probability would you put on that?
On Sam Bankman-Fried being the
founder of Pepe,
or at least the admin for the Twitter account.
But if he's the admin on the Twitter account, he's the creator, right? I mean, I don't think
obviously.
We want someone to run our Twitter.
Well,
Sam
here's
Bankman-Fried.
There's no disputing. There's multiple people that launched that token. I'll leave it at that. Now, whether or not he was the big fish, he was the one that organized it, or if he just was number 2 in command, I don't know. But
interesting. What do you guys?
It wouldn't flow. I would not be like flabbergasted and shocked and like, what? Like, not in the slightest. But if you're asking my opinion, I highly doubt it. I don't believe that would be the case.
Guys,
but, yeah.
I want to know what the chat thinks. So keep in mind what Forrest said, right? The day Sam went to jail is the day the Pepe Twitter handle stopped tweeting. Is that enough evidence for you to say that Sam is the founder of Pepe? Put a 1 for yes, put a 2 for no. Let us know in the chat. With that being said, Forrest, can we take a look at the Bitcoin chart? Do you agree with JP Morgan in saying the sell-off is likely over or coming to an end? Are we seeing some consolidation? What is the structure telling you on the charts?
Yeah, so first thing, whatever JP Morgan says, I'd put zero stock into that.
Same.
I don't think they have retail customers' best interests at heart. So very well could be that they're looking. Yep.
Sorry to cut you off, but I do want the viewers to understand something. Although we understand what Forrest just said, and we don't put any weight, you guys got to remember, these are the things that make headline news, and the average investor who's not in the crypto ecosystem, they do listen to JP Morgan Chase. They do take their financial advice from people like that. They do see that as a credible source. And so if they're reading news like, oh, the crash is over, could it entice people that, hey, now is the time to jump in? Let's keep those things in mind as well. Sorry, Forrest, go ahead.
Yeah, if nothing else, it does tell you what JP Morgan wants, right? If JP Morgan wanted the price of Bitcoin to go down, they probably would not be tweeting that or publishing an article such as that. So it does tell you that JP Morgan likely wants retail customers to step in to some degree and wants to see some demand step in, whether that's because they want to offload some Bitcoin if they have some, or if it's just, they've bought Bitcoin and they want Bitcoin to go up from here. Maybe it's an objective take. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But looking at the Bitcoin chart here, so we saw the Bitcoin break these 2 critical support levels: our trend line here, our blue trend line, as well as our 21-week simple moving average that's coming through here. Once we broke that was a disgusting wick down, but that was time to de-risk, right? I was personally bidding this level, and I'll take those odds every single day of the week. I know I'm not going to win 100% on that trade on the long side, but I stop myself out really, really quickly when it starts moving against me, right? Then I'm able to catch some bounces. But right now, what we're seeing is just simply a range building between our 4x and our 5x short margin pressure level. right? This 4x or this 5x up here and this 4x down there. That's the Bitcoin range right now. And where we're reverting to as kind of our mean or our midpoint is 26,060, which is our 4x long margin pressure level. Now, I know not everybody knows what these margin pressure levels mean, but essentially these are the levels, right, where once Bitcoin passes below, say, 25,443, the bottom of our range here, that's where you can no longer short Bitcoin and hide your liquidation point on leverage, on 4x leverage to be specific, above this local Bitcoin high. And what we're seeing and what commonly happens is that you'll see this be a popular place or a common place to see consolidation and a range forming, and then eventually we break out to one side or the other, right? But as far as what the outlook is, I genuinely do not think that anybody can anybody on this planet Earth has the knowledge of where Bitcoin's going to go next, just because we have limited information. First of all, something that could come in any day now, could have come today, but it didn't. But the next 2 days that it could come are Tuesday and next Friday, is the grayscale ruling. Which, if grayscale wins, I would actually, if we get a grayscale win on Tuesday or next Friday, I would expect that a lot of this liquidation spike here, a lot of this would just be run back, and we would very likely come back up to retest this volume over here at around 28 to 29K, or at a minimum retest and back test our 21-week simple moving average. As it stands right now, it is very, very common when you pass through a 21-week simple moving average to back test it. It is very common when you pass through a strong trend line to come up and back test it as resistance. Obviously, we could, reclaim it. That's not my base case at this point. Again, I said if we break this, I flip much more bearish, especially in the shorter term over the next month or two going into September. But a positive grayscale ruling could be something that allows us to come back up and see price action retest this 27.5 to maybe 29K region, right? Going into September here, where I would expect more downside based off of historical analysis. We also have this news that came through, and this will be decided on September 13th, I believe. A court will decide whether or not to approve FTX selling large amounts of their cryptocurrency reserves to pay back some customers, right? And it's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars worth of pay. Yep.
What's that date?
September 13th. So you can kind of see here, I've got September marked out vertically here. This is the month of September. I've got it marked out just because I want to be more bearish biased in September because of the historical analysis. So that would be September 13th is when that court decision, that approval would go through. Now, I believe they have a 5-week selling plan. So it wouldn't all be market dumped. It would be sold over the next 5 weeks, which could stretch into October and November. And that's if that gets approved by the judge. So you've got that, which could push Bitcoin's price down. And there's this rumor going around that maybe CZ with Binance has a loan against BNB and is selling off large amounts of Bitcoin to defend the BNB price. That's not been confirmed. We can't know for sure. And that's just a perfect example of something that could have a major effect on the price of Bitcoin that we just don't have insight into. Right. So anybody who says, like, gives these price predictions and says, oh, Bitcoin's going down to $12,000 or Bitcoin's going down to $18,000 or $20,000, to that I say you're lying. There's no possible way. That's your opinion, but there's no possible way that you can actually say that and know that with a very high degree of certainty. You may be 60-40 on it. You may be 55-45, but there's anyone that's telling you 100% this is going to happen. Look, grayscale could happen tomorrow. Grayscale, we could get a win tomorrow and run it right back up to 28K. We could get a loss. Well, technically not tomorrow. It'd be Tuesday at the earliest. We could get a loss for grayscale, followed by CZ being forced to sell, followed by FTX being forced to sell. And there's your case for a much lower Bitcoin. But as it stands, what we do have on this chart is strong support and a lot of market incentives shifting in favor of buyers and against sellers, all converging between 23 and 24K. And Does that mean that this is rock solid support that can't be pushed through? No, but what it does mean is at a minimum, if price travels down here, you're very likely to get some sort of a bounce, whether it's a 5% bounce, a 10% bounce. This is a region that, for a short term trade is, in my opinion, a really solid region to consider bidding. And you're very likely to, see some sort of, in my opinion, some sort of range form like this if we were to see that 23 to 24K. I think shorts and the Bears, if you're targeting below this kind of 23K, 23.2K region, I think you are getting a little bit greedy. I think Bears are getting a little bit greedy to try to target 21 to 20K. It is a possibility, especially if we get bad news across the board over the next several months. And it's something you want to be aware of. Like I said, I've risked off a ton. I've got tons of stable coins on the side that I'm yield farming with that I will bid this level with, and I will have some in case we go down to 2021K. I don't think we're going below 20K. I just genuinely don't think that's likely going, starting to get this close to the halving, unless of course we had some major catalyst like last market cycle. We had COVID. That's what pushed us down to new lows or close to those prior bear market lows in March of 2020. It wasn't just regular market structure. It was a black swan event. So maybe we could get a black swan event that does take us to a new market low. But for me, my price target to the downside right now is this 23K to 24K range. But I'm well aware of, hey, if we get positive news out of Grayscale, or we get some other positive news, such as a major player stepping into the arena and buying Bitcoin, I do think we could back test this trend line or this 21-week simple moving average up towards this 28, 29K region here whenever that news comes through. So I'm very open-minded to either side, but I am prepared for further downside if we do get it. Especially in September. Once we get through September, I'll probably have a little bit more bullish bias here. Again, I'm not a giga bear here. If Grayscale wins here, I'm looking to get long, get into the market, and run this back up to the back test this 28, 29K region.
Awesome. And one more potential event that can hamper or push the price down is the U.S. government still has, I believe the number is about 40,000 Bitcoin left that they plan or said they plan on selling. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. I do want to go over this piece of news, guys. So this was recently announced. Sweeping U.S. tax proposal met with boos from crypto world. This is sourced from CoinDesk. A couple things I've highlighted here. An immediate burst of criticism from the crypto industry shows the U.S. Treasury Department's new proposal on how to handle digital asset taxes, particularly how the tax reporting demands may capture decentralized crypto operations that the industry would argue are impossible to bring into compliance. This is a quote from Miller White House Levine, which is the CEO of the DeFi lobbying group in DC, said, quote, while acknowledging that self-hosted wallets users effectuate their own transfers, the proposal still somehow attempts to find third parties responsible for effectuating transfers on behalf of wallet users. In order to square the circle, the proposal asks one to accept that effectuating doesn't mean effectuating. Another poster on the platform noted that the wallet providers like MetaMask, decentralized exchanges like Uniswap, and any smart contract with multi-sig security setup might be captured under the reporting requirements. This would force entities to develop new know your customer rules for their users. That just sounds just terrible. The industry will have until October 30th to make their objections clear to the Treasury and IRS, followed by public hearings on November 7th and 8th. Forrest, what would it do to crypto or to DeFi if people or places like Uniswap and MetaMask, if they have to start doing KYC?
I mean, it just becomes no longer decentralized, right? If you're like, it's like, I think decentralization is, most things are far less decentralized than you actually think. Like we saw that with Tornado Cash, right? The guy who developed Tornado Cash is, if I'm not mistaken, he's still in prison right now. I think things in general, even Bitcoin, which I will say Bitcoin's very far on the decentralized spectrum, but it's still controlled by miners. There's still government regulation that can come in and kick miners out of certain countries. But that's not where I want to go with this. I just think that things in general, like governments still have a ton of power here. And things aren't nearly as decentralized as what people would believe. The true definition of decentralization, in my opinion, is being completely impervious to centralized entities. So look, I don't. I mean, it essentially would make Uniswap centralized, and I think you'd push more people onto privacy layers. There's already some ZK privacy solutions for Ethereum. I know there's some being developed for Solana. You have privacy blockchains or privacy enabled layer one solutions such as Secret Network. And I think you would see a lot of money flow over to those networks because you'd have a lot of people that just don't want their information. They don't want a KYC with a so-called decentralized exchange. What's the point? So yeah, this would be net negative, I think, for the space, but I think it would push more people towards privacy-based solutions.
That was going to be my next question: is if this does happen, where do you think the people that are hanging around in DeFi, where are they going to go? People that don't want to do KYC, and I think you answered the question, guys. At the end of the day, we're going to have to pay taxes, right? It is what it is. But the problem I personally have, and it sounds like you have as well, Forrest, is they're just trying to take something that is such a new and burgeoning technology that is not like anything we've seen before, and they're trying to fit it into the same pile of how to tax assets or what is a security, what is not a security. Like, please, for the love of God, I think this technology, I think it's worth it to maybe spend a little time, a little resources, understanding it, and then crafting something tailor-made that encompasses everything. You have centralized side. You want to play in that sandbox? Fine. You have a decentralized sandbox. You want to play in that too? Fine. But you can't treat them the same. That is the whole point. You cannot do KYC on DeFi. That defeats the entire purpose, right? Kind of what Forrest said. So I don't even want to say alarming, but just discouraging, very discouraging. We see countries across the globe really, really take the time to understand and tailor make rules and regulations that fit the crypto industry. And here we have the US, the largest capital market in the world, the leader of the free world, the dollar, and they're just continuing to drop the ball day after day, time after time. There is one, I guess, silver lining here that they left the miners out of it, but God, it's never ending cycle. And then one more thing I do want to share here. I did mention at the top of the show that we are going to talk about Coinbase delisting some tokens. Well, here are the tokens sourced from Cryptonomist.ch. Coinbase Crypto removes 6 altcoins from its list. Those include Barnbridge, DerivaDAO, Jupiter, Multichain, UkiDAO, and Voyager, VGX. These will go into effect on September 6th, 2023, around 4 p.m., assuming that is Eastern Standard Time. But these aren't really big cryptos. I don't think any of these are in the top 100. But just in case you do have some of these tokens on Coinbase, if you plan on holding them, get them out. Keep it on self custody because they're going to be ended. But I guess my question to you on this real quick for us is, do you think this is Coinbase getting ahead of potential issues with the SEC or they're facing added pressure? And I know we're kind of speculating here, unless you know something I don't know. But what are your thoughts? Is this a good thing? Is this a net negative? What are your general thoughts?
No, so the only one that sticks out to me is Barnbridge. I think it was mentioned by Gary Gensler and or the SEC at some point. So that one kind of makes sense. But most of these, I think, are probably very, very low volume tokens that probably aren't making Coinbase any money. Maybe they have some tokenomics mechanisms similar to Barnbridge in some way, and that they're just getting ahead and removing them because of that. If they don't, then it's just very likely that they're cleaning up. They could very well be losing money on these, right? If they're having to market make for them, or it could just be that their market making partners don't want to support these coins anymore because they're not making any money and market makers are losing money on these supporting them. So I mean, I don't think it's, aside from Barnbridge, that's the only one that kind of sticks out as like, hey, the SEC said something about that. But I think the other ones are probably just super low volume, not making Coinbase any money, cleaning up the platform a little bit.
Yeah, I got to look at it this way too. Like, if it's not really making us money, no one's trading it, why even run the risk of having it on and then giving the SEC even more ammunition? So I kind of understand, and I do agree with you, Forrest. Barnbridge was one. I know when it got first listed on Coinbase, they did do free airdrops. Well, not airdrops, but like they gave you free Barnbridge token if you did their little, hey, answer these 6 questions, like a little quiz, like they're trying to educate people. And so, yeah. But guys, that's all we got for today. Forrest, you got any plans for your weekend?
Honestly, no. I just take it one day at a time. I'll ask that same question to my wife when she gets home from work, and I'll ask, do we have any plans this weekend? And just go with the flow.
Yeah. I know my little guy's got a soccer scrimmage, so I'm excited for that. I haven't seen him play soccer in a while. Nice. A little messy over there. Also, want to give not a quick because it deserves a good shout out, but Brokioshi gifting 10 memberships. And also Sailing to Crypto also gifting 5 memberships. So big shout out to you guys. They're both whale members. So to all of you that support this channel via channel sponsorship or a channel membership, or you use the links in our description, guys, we really, really appreciate it. A lot of time and effort and money goes into our production, and it's all for you guys to educate you. And we love doing these live shows, and for all your support, guys, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We also really appreciate Forrest, and we really appreciate our moderators. So to all of you mods, I don't have a favorite one, so don't ask again, Billy. But we love all of you equally. Guys, go follow Forrest on Twitter at 00Forrest. That's Forrest with 2 R's. If you want more of his TA, go subscribe to him on YouTube at Sistine Research. We do have that link pinned in the comment section of this chat. Also, go follow us on Twitter. We're at Sin City Crypto 1. Go check out our merch store. If you're a whale member, you do get 10% off. And go check out our channel sponsor. If you run a business and you want to maximize your cybersecurity, that is one thing we didn't go over, but there was a hack regarding FTX customer information. And so cybersecurity is really something important. And if you're running a business, can't think of anything more important than safeguarding your customer information. And so Cam's Blue Wire Tech is the leader. So we love them. Thank you for sponsoring the channel. And that's all we got. Now, Robin, you got anything else? You've been awfully quiet there for the last 15 minutes or so. Anything else to add before I really let everyone go?
Coinbase, shame on you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Robin. With that being said, Rocco. Guys, thank you so much. What an awesome week. Come back next week for an even more amazing week. Tune in to Robin's Rant and Ramble. Tomorrow, Rant and Ramble. What time, 11?
Yeah, we're moving it to Saturday. No more Sunday Rant and Ramble. Sorry,
Saturday,
guys.
Rant and Ramble, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We love you guys. See you later. Peace.
Big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the whale members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.
Making improvements to the studio, baby. Let's go.